Hi everyone, welcome to Legally Yours. I'm here again with the amazing Perpetua Kish, also known as Peppy Kish from Balance Family Law. And in this interview, we're actually going to talk a little bit more about why Peppy and her business partner Jonathan actually set up Balance Family Law, and a little bit more about sort of the purpose behind it and their mission with setting up the first one I've come across being a fully virtual online law firm. So thank you so much for joining me, Peppy.
No, thank you for having me, Karen.
Okay, so talk me through what was that moment that you came together with Jono, because you'd actually worked together a little bit at the firm beforehand. Talk me through that story.
Yeah, so Jono and I had been working together at two firms previously. So he came with me to the second firm. He was actually my PA to begin with, and then my paralegal or a paralegal that worked with me.
Yep.
And then when he was admitted, he was a junior lawyer that worked with me. And we had just sort of a complementary skill set. So he's like a great with numbers, has a passion for superannuation, and really enjoys things like spreadsheets and creating systems and workflows. And yeah, I have a passion for the human side of things and working with clients, finding out their why and working with them on goals and yeah, just achieving their objectives.
Yeah. And then what sort of led to you deciding, hey, we could start our own practice? What were some of, I guess the question I'm probably really asking is, what were you finding maybe that was frustrating, or particularly you weren't feeling sort of satisfied with how you were practicing? Because that was more of a traditional mode, is that correct?
Very sort of traditional. So in the firm that we had worked in previously together, I had actually been fortunate enough to basically I had my own little ecosystem within that firm, so I could work the hours that I wanted to work. I could work from home, which I did, and I had been for such a long amount of time because I had two young kids. Well, I have two young kids.
Yes.
A bit older now, and we moved to this other firm, which wasn't by choice. It sort of happened. The other firm wasn't able to continue operating, and it was very rigid, traditional, and just wasn't a culture where we could see ourselves really thriving. And it sort of came to a head where we looked at building a practice within that practice. And when basically, I think it just got to a point where we're like, no, let's just do it. We've got all the ideas. Let's just make this happen and get over that fear.
Yes.
Yeah, practice law the way we want to.
Amazing. And so what were the first things that you did when you were setting up Balance Family Law? And I guess from that, I'm probably leading you on to a little bit about how you were sort of thinking about how you were going to price with your customers, because you do that in a very different way to the traditional, and also how you were going to, communicate with your clients as well. So talk me through those two things.
Absolutely. So one of our goals is to make law more accessible, and we can do that in two ways in relation to pricing. So one challenge that I faced while working in the traditional firm is so many people were stressed out about just uncertainty, around how much will this cost me? How much is this bill going to be? Oh, if I call this person, is it going to cost me this much for a 2-minute phone call? All of those sort of things didn't make our job any easier. It just compounded the stress that those clients were already experiencing, being family law clients.
Yes.
And then, secondly, we really wanted to make law more accessible, so literally, so that we could be in a space like this virtually, assisting clients. And we have developed over the past few years some online legal solutions which allow clients to work with us to basically input data, provide information, gain information from us in an online sort of space, and then at the end of it come out with a settlement or an agreement that can be filed at court. And I guess the key difference with some of the other service offerings around the place at this point in time is that we're not a do-it-yourself service.
Yep.
We're a do-it-with-you service. So all the benefits of the accessibility, the convenience, the cost of doing it yourself, but having us there working with you to make sure it's done right and properly.
I absolutely love that. And I love that approach because, we're all about creating greater accessibility to legal services for community, because we know currently, I think they talk around 70% of people who have legal needs don't see lawyers. I read an article not too long ago which said that only 25% of people who separate actually go and see a lawyer as well. I mean, these stats are just, horrific. But I understand why people are so fearful of going to lawyers, and particularly in family law. You raise that point that, it's one area where you really need to have a great relationship with your lawyer, and you need to be able to talk freely to your lawyer. But if they're knocking on the clock every time, they're looking at the minutes every time, of course you're going to think, oh my God, I'm not going to call them to tell them that, because I can't afford another invoice or another invoice. So I absolutely love the approach that you've taken. And look, we will do another video where we'll actually go a bit more into depth into how that do it with you approach works at Balance Family Law. But if this is resonating with you and you would love to reach out to Peppy Kish and have a complimentary chat with her about your family law service, you can actually find Peppy on our platform at legallyyours.com.au, or you can actually head to balancefamilylaw.com.au direct and find out a little bit more about the services there. Peppy, thank you so much for joining me, and we are so incredibly excited to have you as part of the Legally Yours community.
Oh, no, thanks for having me.
Thank you.